Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Short Podcast. I'm your host, Ross Baxter, and today is episode 83 of the series. The podcast is a weekly series where I bring on guests from the film and game industries to talk about their journey and thoughts on student education. Today on the show, we've got an incredible environment artist. We've got Trym Roedder on the show. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Anytime. I was just discussing with him before. I was butchering his name. I'm so sorry, dude.
It's okay. It's a hard name.
I'll get into it. Like I said, the more practice, the better.
True.
So, as always, folks, the short podcast, like I said, I bring on guests covering a range of different backgrounds, as always. And today's guest is, like I said, incredible environment artist, and we're going to be diving into his artwork, his process, and most importantly, his journey.
Animal Crossing. Oh, my journey.
Wait, what were we going to say?
Just most importantly, Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, of course. Most important, Animal Crossing, because that's what we were talking at right at the start. Like, oh, by the way, like when it comes to like the games at the moment, just a bit of a random tangent at the start of the podcast. But is there any games along with like Animal Crossing that you're playing at the moment? Because I'm playing Warzone at the moment.
I tried Warzone, but it's not my cup of tea. Like I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I played it and I looked around at textures. I looked around at the floor like, oh, look,
Nice.
the grass kind of moves when you walk and it's like bending so that you don't see the grass planes. Nice. But then I got killed after I rocket launched some other guy.
All
So
right. Okay.
I'm not I'm a slow playing kind of guy. That's why Animal Crossing works so well for me because
Perfect.
Warzone is just a bit too intense for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I've never played Animal Crossing. So what is Animal Crossing about? As obvious it probably sounds, but can you actually tell me a wee bit about it? It'd be good to hear.
I have no idea. This is my first time playing too. My
Oh,
partner
nice.
plays it though, but I'm like, from what I understand, I'm just kind of gathering a bunch of wood and stone and trying to build up a village. And I'm
Mhm.
talking to these cute little villagers. We have a little bunny that's dressed like a ninja, and he's
Right.
all about muscles. So he talks about like how it's absolutely a great day today, for
Oh
example.
gosh.
So yeah, it's pretty. It's just cute. It's just like it's a slow experience. Like if we want to build a building, it'll take a day to build a building. Like
Wait,
it'll
really? Right? Okay. I didn't
yeah,
expect it that long.
like you have to wait like a whole day or maybe even 2 days sometimes for the building to be completed. So like you have to do other tasks while that's happening. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Nice.
It's just really cute. It's just really relaxing. It makes me really interested in the art as well because I'm doing so much like realistic stuff that
Mhm.
when I see games that are just so cute and so like everything is done so well, it makes me really, I don't know, excited, I
Yeah,
guess.
definitely. Like the one game, I'm not playing it, but I'm watching it. Have you ever heard of King's Quest?
King's Quest. Is that the pixel art one?
So yeah, well, it's like how can I describe it? Like it's so good. Like it is a kind of how can I say it? It's like a mixture of it's like kind of stylized art, kind of a mixture of like pixel. It's really evolved over the years because this is literally the first time I've ever came across it. I'm literally watching one of my favorite artists streaming it right now, and it's just like the style is so nice. Like I never thought it's like what you were saying about Animal Crossing. It's like such a contrast to Warzone. Like
Yeah.
Warzone is literally just like full on, just like I've always been a COD fan, so it just makes it nice and easy for me to just drop in and just go right. You're getting hunted, folks. Be ready. But
Yeah, no, it looks nice from what I'm seeing here. The style is like super stylized, kind of like a cell shady
yeah,
look to it.
like I never in a million years out of all the games I never thought I'd be into a game like that. Like that's why when you're
Um,
saying about Animal Crossing, like I'm actually quite intrigued now.
Yeah, no, it's just really, but you have to have the time. I think that's the thing is you have to put in a lot of time and effort and patience, but you don't need to do much every day, really. You can just sort of let it sit for a day and then
Hmm.
you go back in and let it sit for another day and you go back in and I don't know, it's just something really nice about it. I think it's nice, especially now that we're all inside and have a lot of time on our hands
Yeah,
to just be able to relax a bit. I don't need to feel stressed out by 150 guys with guns chasing me down.
just everyone just going crazy. Too
Yeah,
much adrenaline right now.
yeah, it's too much for me.
That's always the thing with me though. Is like I naturally just have already too much adrenaline, so it's like imagine adrenaline with your energy drink plus BR craziness. It's just
Oh
like
God,
it's non-stop man over here right now.
yeah, you're probably thriving, man. You're probably thriving.
Oh, constant adrenaline, it's amazing. I'll have to do my switch. I'll have to do like translate over to Animal Crossing. I'll be like, right,
Oh
Ross,
yeah.
slow it down, take a breather, and relax. Just
That's
saying
gonna
out.
be tough.
Right. So first things first, as always. So when it comes to the podcast, good old introductions. So tell us a wee bit about yourself, and I guess the good old nice question, like what got you into art?
Hmm.
And so it begins.
What? Yeah, so it begins. What got me into art? I don't know. I mean, I'm Norwegian,
Mhm.
living in Canada right now, living in Toronto, and I don't know. I'm one of those typical kids in the back of the classroom drawing things instead of doing math homework.
Nice.
So I guess that's where I started. I think like in my early years, like elementary school, I was the kid that everyone went to get a dinosaur drawn. I had like all the dinosaur drawings, so
Oh, sick. Okay.
I'm that kid.
Dinosaurs are one of
Um,
my favorite things. So when you brought, I'm all for this podcast already.
yeah, there we go. And then I guess I just sort of I fell a bit out of it. Like um I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I
Mhm.
studied like my high school was like a media sort of high school stuff, so we did like a lot of filming and photography and graphic design. So that was kind of nice. Like it definitely was. I got to have a little bit of a creative outlet. But then after that again, it was like, damn, university. Like, what am I supposed to study now? Like, I don't know. I'm not that smart. I don't know how to like do something good. So I found like a I'm not too sure what it's even called in English, but it's like a interactive design sort of bachelor's degree. I It had three different like bachelors
Mhm.
going in parallel sort of, but one was animation, one was what was the other one? One was animation, one was more art and
Okay.
like concept
Nice.
art, and one was programming, making apps and games and stuff like that. And I actually ended up going the app and game one, not the art ones,
Ooh, interesting, right?
because I thought that that was probably a smarter decision
Mhm.
instead of going art stuff. Turns out I was spending most of my time in the programming stuff doing art. Uh, so my bachelor's degree is with two other programmers, and I didn't program a single thing. I just did all the art and all the
Yeah.
animations for like a mobile game, basically.
Right.
Uh, so that kind of set me down on that path. But I still didn't do 3D. That was all 2D stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so after university, I was confused. I was like, "What the hell do I do now?" And then just at some point, I think in 2016,
Mhm.
2016 or 2017, my partner suggested I should download Blender or something, just try 3D, see how that goes. And
That's
I was like,
awesome.
yeah, okay, sure, I'll try it out. And like I spent a weekend consuming YouTube videos, just absolutely gobbling down on everything that I could find that was like somewhat beginner friendly.
Mhm.
And at the end of it, I had like a low poly character that I modeled and textured and rigged and animated, and I slapped him up on Sketchfab, and he got pretty popular. So I was like, damn, I can do this.
Yeah. That's where it all kicked off.
Yeah, pretty much. After that, I tried some studies in Norway. I thought they were too slow for me. I
Mhm.
wanted more. I was like hungry to really learn fast, and I was spending a lot of time on my own, really like just isolating myself, I guess,
Yeah.
uh, trying to just learn as much as possible. And it just wasn't fast enough for me in Norway, was what I felt.
Mhm.
So I found ThinkTank in Vancouver. I was actually looking at a Twitch stream, and there's a one of the mentors at ThinkTank. His name is Jon-Catapia.
Okay.
Really smart dude, and like he knows everything you'd ever want to know. And he
I'm going to have to
was
check him out because I've never heard of this.
yeah, but he doesn't have much art online, unfortunately. But he's just such a good guy, and he was streaming on Twitch, and he was just like sculpting some monsters and stuff like that, and I started talking a little bit, and eventually I found out about Think Tank through him. So,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, he was like, "All right, just it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be like really, really hard. You have to have the motivation and the time and the just like the perseverance to even be able to do this, but like you definitely can if you have those things.
Mm-hmm.
So he suggested that I apply, and I did, and it was great.
Wait,
And
wait,
now I'm here,
and now here, awesome. Because
I
like
guess.
well that's the thing. Because like wait, I quote me if I'm wrong. I might be completely off tangent, but for some reason, actually the surname actually just kind of rang a bell. Is that the guy who did Godzilla sculpture a while back?
Catapia?
Yeah, for some
I'm
reason,
not
the name.
sure. He may have done some Godzilla sculptures. I think hmm,
Because maybe he
no.
didn't. Because it just the surnames it now kind of just randomly just came there. I was like, wait, maybe I do know this streamer.
He may have, but I'm not sure. I don't think he doesn't stream too much
Oh right,
anymore.
okay.
He used it was a while back he streamed. Then he got really busy, so
Does he go by that name on Twitch or is it by a certain name?
it's like Hey John or something.
Right, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out because there's always like I always get carried away on on Twitch just scrolling through everyone see what they're making.
Yeah, it's Hey John, but he doesn't stream anymore, I don't think, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's always the thing. Like I think if there's one thing I would like to see more artists doing. I understand it's always a commitment thing when it comes to time, but it'd be great seeing so many artists like just streaming and seeing what is out there. I understand that when it comes to their process or when it comes to just their daily routine, like it's a lot of effort, a lot of commitment. But when it comes to like seeing someone like, for example, like say you were streaming and I was able to watch you make your overgrown piece, I'd just be like, it'd just be like set for life.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you'd be frustrated because I was.
Just going, yeah, but that's the great thing though is at a day it's like it's those frustrations that go such a long way. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a learning process the entire time, but it's there are times when you hit the wall and you're just banging your head against it, and you're like, "How am I supposed to do this?"
Yeah, it's always like the new techniques that you come across and you're wanting to learn it. But that's the great thing, like what you said just a few moments ago, is that you were wanting to learn and you actually went out of your comfort zone, like you went to another country. But
Yeah.
there's one thing I actually wanted to talk about because you talked about it there briefly, and I think it'd be really nice to just in case we've got anyone from Norway tuning in. When it comes to education in Norway, is there any places that you know of that you recommend, or like what is education like in Norway?
In Norway itself, I don't know because I don't think I was like I applied to university, Nord University,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty fresh still in what they were doing.
Okay.
They had a pretty good like they had a pretty good plan going, but then the university sort of stepped in and pulled it more towards uh, academia,
Mm-hmm.
which is always a problem. Like I think if you want to do art or 3D or anything practical, then you want to stay away from universities because universities they're gonna make you have subjects that you don't need and don't care about. Like
Mm-hmm.
much as philosophy 101 is probably great, I don't really want to do philosophy 101 if I'm gonna like if I want to learn the one thing and the one thing only,
Yep.
right? For me, it was like I need to know 3D,
Yep.
but then even for the 1 year that I was there, I gave up after 1 year because it was just one, it was going too slow, and two, I was learning so many things that I didn't need to know. Like I don't need to know After Effects. I don't need to know composition or not composition, compositing and stuff like that. Like I don't animation history is fun. Honestly, animation history is fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you can always learn something from the past, right? So if you're learning something about how, or in art history as well, like if you're learning how some of the old masters, as they say, did stuff and how they're thinking and like how all these rules of composition and color and things to catch your eye. It goes so far back, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like stuff like that can really bring a little bit of extra oomph into your modern work. Like you don't need to have everything be cubes. You can actually put some cool colors and forms in there.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's just there were so many things that I wasn't interested in, and I felt like I was spending 3 hours, 4 hours a day learning things that I wouldn't benefit from. So I didn't focus on it because
Perfect.
I needed the one thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if Norway has that. I think there are some schools. I think there's one called Vesterdals with a
Okay.
W. Uh, I think it's a private school, so that means it's probably a bit pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Education in Norway is, for the most part, free.
All right. Nice. Great to
So
hear.
you have to, but but private schools are still pricey.
Mm-hmm.
So you get what you pay for, hopefully. But I
Of
don't know.
course.
I don't keep an eye on it because I sort of Norway wasn't it for me.
Yeah.
I needed something better or not better. I don't know. Like I can't say that it's bad because I haven't tried everything there. But
Of
my
course.
experience wasn't great, and so I looked to something else,
Yeah. No,
basically.
I think that's great, and I'm really glad with your honesty and just saying that, because at the end of the day, I feel, I'm not sure what your thoughts are, but I feel that it's going to, in the next, probably, this is why I always do the podcast. Like, there's so many ways, and there's a reason why it's called the Shoot Art Podcast. Is that at the day, like, I want to see or try and get across the best advice possible from all these different stories and hearing people's perspectives. And I feel university might not exist in terms of the art side of things. Well, probably in 10 years' time, but it might be. Like, you never know.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know how universities are in other countries, but I do
Hmm.
feel like in Norway at least, it's very like they want to be like they have certain requirements for what sort of classes they need to have. So you will never, to my understanding at least, you will never get a good like industry education if you're going to a university, especially in art related stuff. You might
Right.
learn a lot of art theory, but universities usually want to keep their students within universities again. Like, I don't want to be taught by some guy who learned his stuff at university and then became a teacher.
Yeah,
Like,
completely
I want
agree.
to I want to learn from someone who's either in the industry right now or
Hmm.
who's got a ton of experience with the industry and still has like an eye to the ground, I guess, sort
Yeah.
of.
No, that's a great way to answer, because that's why I think when you did that path, so when you switched over to the mentoring side of things, and that's one of the topics I think would be really important to talk about. And at the end of the day, this is when it comes down to the individual and doing the research and actually giving thing the time it deserves. Because
Yeah.
naturally, like you said there, like you literally nailed it perfectly. Like, you don't know what to expect. Like, there's so many different courses out there. There's lots of great courses. I was really fortunate with the university I went to. I really liked it, but when it comes to the majority, it's understanding of you're only going to find out once you actually apply, and
Yeah.
it could take you, say, a year to figure whether it's the right place or not, or 6 months. Normally, you have quite a good judge quite quickly. Like, for example, when you were came across your modules or under, I think that'd be great to see. I think every university, I know like very well known ones say it, but be more precise with what they actually do. So
Well,
saying
that's
this, and
part of my
that.
problem. You were talking about modules there, because my university they had their modules posted online, so I could see them, and I was like, "Damn, this is pretty cool." Like,
Hmm.
okay, first year is not like the most interesting, but there's some things that seem to be pretty in line with what I want.
Yeah.
But then second year, like, oh, cool, it's like really sharpening in,
Hmm.
and third year, it's like super sharp. Like whatever direction you want to go in, there's like a set amount of modules and you won't be, it's like no bullshit, right? So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, cool, this seems like a pretty good 3-year course.
Yeah.
um but then midway through my first year they changed the modules.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Ouch.
I wasn't even getting what I was promised to get, and then they changed the modules for the second and third year as well. They added like more academia stuff and they removed some of the interesting
Hmm.
stuff. So I was like, damn, I don't want this.
Yeah. Of course. That's
Pulling
all.
the rug out of me, man.
It's like your energy's just literally just drained, just gone.
Yeah.
It's that's always been the, like, that's why I think it'd be great. Like my whole focus with my podcast is to be like, somehow I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like, I'm still trying to figure out on the side how to kind of reach out to the majority of the main like universities, and trying to get them to be consistent, in the sense that trying to get some sort of, like, it'd be great if there was a system. There probably is something, but it's probably based around more about creating money rather than it is supporting. And
Mm.
like, I would like to see a more consistent kind of approach in terms of universities being just straight to the point, rather than, like you said, like, obviously theory is great, but that's more like for example, like color theory is super important. I really do think it goes a long way, but it depends on like what kind of things are they talking about. Like you said, the history, like, there's all these different topics that when it comes to the 3D side of things, how much do all these like history stuff have relevancy, if you know what I mean. Like, does it
Yeah,
have value, and is it going to get a job at the end of the day, if you know what I mean?
yeah, because that's the most important part. You just gotta get a job, honestly.
Definitely,
I
because
mean, it sucks to say it, but like we live in a society, okay?
hmm
That's what the Joker said anyway.
yeah,
But like you have to get a job. You have to figure out how to make money from the stuff that you do. And as much fun as 3D is, you still got to make a living off of it,
hmm
which I didn't even think was possible until like very like some years ago. I was like, damn, I can actually do that.
you can actually do it as a career. You're like, hell yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
So, when it comes to the mentoring side of things, can you tell me a wee bit about ThinkTank Training Center? Because this sounds awesome.
yeah. Sure. So it's there's like two. Well, I think now there's three different ways to go about it. So they have the online mentoring as well, which I think that you can do like just the online mentoring, or you can do like a full online course.
hmm
Um, but you also have the on-campus stuff, which is what I did. So I went on campus. I didn't do the full course, so I didn't like. You can be there for 3 semesters basically if you want to. First semester is basics, very basics.
hmm
A lot of the people who come there have no experience whatsoever. Some of them have like drawn a lot. Some of them have some experience with other stuff, but very very few of them actually have any experience. So after just 4 months, the level of quality that they're pushing out, these very fresh students, is like scary,
Yeah,
but in a good way.
of
It's
course.
like, damn, you're, especially for me, because I didn't do the full course, so I had no lectures. I didn't have a set course plan. I did my pre-mentorship and my mentorship. And as a pre-mentorship student, I had 4 months of basically getting up to speed with whatever I thought was necessary,
Okay.
and I could sit in on any class that I wanted to. Sometimes I couldn't sit there physically, but I could like we used Zoom, so the lecturer would or the instructor would have like a Zoom link as well, and
Nice,
so
nice. Right, okay.
everyone who was like in the little cave, the pre-mentorship and mentorship cave,
The Cave of Wonders.
we could go in there and Zoom and see his screen and or her screen and basically learn through that.
hmm
So we could pick and choose a little bit more, which is pretty great because then I learned ZBrush basically from the guy who made Thor's armor and like
What? Right, okay.
right. It's like
Talk
oh shit.
about a beast
Uh,
there.
and I think a guy. His name is Leo. I can't remember his last name, but he's actually the guy who sculpted Godzilla. And I was like,
Oh
damn, I'm
my
learning
gosh. Oh,
ZBrush from this guy. Like, holy
that's
shit.
sick.
So there's people who are literally there in the industry. Sometimes they
hmm
have to have like late classes, so they come at like 8 p.m. pretty much because they're coming straight from work. They're coming from ILM. They're coming from Method. They're coming from DNEG, right? And they're
Yeah.
coming straight to ThinkTank and rushing in and teaching us how to do
Wow.
stuff. And so it's pretty awesome. But it's hard work. It's really hard work, especially if you're going there just as a pre-mentorship or
hmm
as a mentorship student, because then you're definitely not getting handheld. There's no hand holding at all. Like it's just like, what do you want to do? And this is a recommended amount of like these are the recommended classes that you should probably like listen in on.
hmm
But other than that, most of this is on you. Like
Yeah.
you should know what you want to learn, and eventually when you start looking for a mentor, you should know sort of what kind of mentor you want, and then
hmm
they can help you find one if you don't have someone in mind.
So how long does that starting process, like how long, like have you had to like schedule this out? Is this like a few months original research and planning, and then you go, right, I'm now ready for a mentor, or how's that kind of?
So the mentorship is 4 months, so you can pretty much start. I think in the second semester, or like even for me, when I started my pre-mentorship, which is also 4 months, I started pretty early on.
hmm
I'd say the second month, I would start thinking, okay, sort of people would I want to be mentor me. So I made a list. I made like a spreadsheet of I'd go on ArtStation and
hmm
I find people who were doing environment art, and I would just I would put down their information if I could, everything from LinkedIn to ArtStation links to their email if it was available.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't like cold call them or anything, but I had their information handy, and I'd like not very. I wouldn't rank them very like based on who's really good or bad, but it was
Mm-hmm.
more like who speaks to me in terms of art,
Yeah, of course.
which also helps because then you sort of get a little bit of an idea of where you want to go
Yeah.
because you're looking through, you're spending so much time researching all these amazing artists, and you're like, damn, I want to be able to do that, and then you find another guy like, damn, I want to be able to do that, and then you find another one like, damn,
It just keeps going up, and you're like, oh boy, the
what is
knowledge.
this? So, so it's pretty awesome, and I reached out to some of them. For me, I was thinking a bit ahead because I knew it was that's in Vancouver, but I knew I was eventually going to go to Toronto because my
Mm-hmm.
partner, she lives here. So I tried to be somewhat strategic about like my planning phase. I was like, okay, are there any mentors that will be in Toronto, like
Ah, well thought through.
Ubisoft or Rockstar or something like that? So I found some people there, but I don't think I contacted two from Rockstar because they had some really cool stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
um, other than that, I didn't really contact too many people. I ended up with a different mentor who's in Edmonton, which is obviously a very wrong direction. Um, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, uh, yeah, I don't know. The planning phase is as long as you want it to be. If you haven't planned it out well, like if you're pushing it to the very last minute,
Of
then
course.
you might just get one. Basically, like there's a ThinkTank has like a bunch of mentors who come back every year and they're great.
Yeah.
That's why they come back, right?
So are they?
Um,
Oh, on you go.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So are the? Do they kind of approach this? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but do they ever kind of just reach out to anyone random who's not already at Think Tank? And
Yeah,
so that's what they do.
that's what they do, and
Whoa,
that's
right,
when
okay.
you gotta like you can reach out to whoever you really want to, and
That's
then
incredible.
think tank will try their best to make sure that this person will be willing to. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's all about the money, right?
Of course, yeah.
But like think tank has no problems from what I understand, at least. Maybe it's changed now, but you know they they don't care who you get. They like it when it's someone local
Mhm.
because it's nice to be able to come in. Like when Jon-Catapia comes by, he'll have his two mentorship students,
Yep.
but then he'll also spend an extra hour at the school, and he'll just like walk around and help people, anyone who has questions.
Mhm.
Right? That's why they like local people because then everyone gets a chance to learn or sit in. Um, but if it's someone that's just extraordinary and they're really, really hits home for you, then you can absolutely reach out to them and they'll try to accommodate that.
That's it. Oh my, wait. I wish this was around. Wait, oh my god. This is like geek out central. You can literally just reach out to anyone, like you said. That's such a cool opportunity.
But
Um,
obviously, not everyone. Like I reached out, I did reach out to two at Rockstar,
yeah, yeah,
and they both were busy. So
yeah.
they're like, just like, I mean, they were in the middle of Red Dead Redemption 2, and
Right.
I think one of them just had a kid as well. So it's like, yeah, all right, you're busy.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like at least you have something as an option, if you know what I mean. Like at
Yeah,
least you can be like, right, it's not 100% guaranteed. It's maybe not 50, but it's still a percent. Like it's still an opportunity to be like, well, these are my favorite artists. This is the
yeah.
person I admire. This is the person I look up to. Do like having even just having the thought of that as an opportunity is overwhelming. Like that's great.
It's really cool. And I think a lot of artists, especially like more senior artists, are getting more open to the idea of mentorships. I mean, you have
Yeah,
the whole mentorship coalition with
yeah. With
Josh
Josh,
Lynch and stuff, right?
like that's just like that's also like when I was talking to him, it's just like we were literally just talking like an hour and a half about mentorships, and
Yeah.
at the day like it's such the like if I everyone is tuning in, I always feel like when it comes to mentoring, it's such the way to go now, and I feel that university is still great and they still have value depending on where you go. But you said it, you nailed it there perfectly right at the start when you said you want the information now basically and you want to just get the job because at the end of the day that's what it's all about. It's not about the delaying, if you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
like, you want to get straight to the point. So am I correct? So your mentor was Kevin Meek.
Kevin Meek, yeah.
So he was from Bioware.
Bioware, Edmonton. what a guy.
Yeah.
What a slob. What an asshole. I'm sorry.
If he's listening in right now, I bet he's like close friends. He's just like,
No, he's
what's he saying right now? What's he saying? He better be nice.
no, he's great. Actually, I am really really grateful for the help that he has given because he was already like a month before the mentorship even started. I
Mhm.
sort of reached out a bit to him. Me and Sean, who also had his mentorship alongside me. We both had Kevin,
Mhm.
and we both reached out to him like a month before our mentorship really started, just to sort of get stuff a bit going and get to know him a little bit.
Mhm.
And he was already like I think a lot of the other people at ThinkTank were kind of jealous because Kevin would write like these whole novels.
Oh, sweet. That's
Like
what
he
I'm
would
talking
he would
about.
reply with like 2 pages on emails. It was like, holy, wow, that's a bit much. Okay, but like he really goes into it and he's super genuine in wanting to like make sure you get to where you need to be,
Yeah,
basically.
because like
And
that.
even after the mentorship, because it's been a while now since I was in a mentorship, and
Yeah.
the Overgrown scene was sitting on the back burner for a while. But
Mhm.
if I started working on it, like if I wanted to update him, I just sent him an email and he would reply. Sometimes just he'd say, "That's ugly,
Yeah.
change it," or he'd say like, "Looking good, keep going." Right?
Mhm. That's dude. This is such a cool way to start the podcast because it's like something so different. It's just at the end of the day, like having that kind of reach. Like when I was working, when I was studying at Animation Mentor, so I did this Disney course. I
Oh, yeah.
literally had the chance to reach out to all these, like, no joke, like 50 mentors if I wanted to. I could just be like, right, Disney animator or a guy who worked at DreamWorks, can you help
That's
me with
awesome.
this? And he'd just be like, yeah, you just change this. It's exactly what you're doing, but your thing's even cooler. Like the fact that you get to do is in 3D. And then when I came across your artwork, like I was saying this to you at the start, I was like, oh damn, here we go. And then I was like, the coolest thing because everyone always knows I geek out all the time about Uncharted and stuff. It's always Uncharted
Yeah.
and Harry Potter. It's always those two. And then when I was saying to you at the start, it's like the camera's coming around the corner, and then boom, it hits you. It's like there's the alien. Oh, it's so cool, man. Like, sorry for having my geek out moment. It's
Oh,
just
no,
what I just have to I just have to let it out, man. It's like
yeah.
there's so much
Thank you.
energy building up right now.
Thank you.
But that's the thing. It's just like having someone there is almost like an angel on your shoulder to be like, right, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing. And then you said something perfectly, like someone being so honest with you, like just being
Hmm.
right. This like obviously. No one's like trying to be like a douche of it, you know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to be selfish, but they're just being
Oh
like,
no, he's definitely a douche, but in a good
come on,
way.
in a good way. But at least they're honest, you know what I mean? Like it's like one of my I was so fortunate. Like same with you. Like one of my one of the guys who came on the podcast, literally one of the really first podcasts was literally episode 7, Alex Sturjomin. Like
Hmm.
this guy has helped me so much, and having someone who's just there to encourage you, but most importantly, just be like, right, dude, this is what you're doing wrong. This is
Yeah.
how far like you're literally. This is how far behind you are. And I was like,
No bullshit.
yeah, exactly, just straight to the point. And it was just like we're like, so many people are just waiting for that, for years of it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like a big wake up call for a lot of people.
It's honestly, it was great. Like it was weird. I think the first time we talked to him, it was over online, right? So we used
Mhm.
Zoom, so he could see our screens. We would take turns. Me and Sean would take turns sharing our screens to show the scene and what we had to do. And one of the
Mhm.
first times, like we had a webcam as well, because usually they used webcams
Mhm.
uh, for these online mentorships. And like, one of the first things he said was like, "Turn off that like webcam. Like I don't know. I have to look at you guys. Like I'm
That's
like,
brilliant. That's
show me,
legendary.
show me the stuff, right?"
Get to the art. Straight to
and
the point.
pretty much, right? But he was really funny about it. And I know there was one time he found out that he could draw. Like on Zoom, you have like a feature where you can draw on the screen and
Mhm.
everyone can see it. And when he found out about that, he spent like 2 or 3 minutes drawing question marks over my entire scene. It was like, okay,
Oh, right,
are you
okay.
done now? And he's like, oh, sorry, I'm just checking how many question marks I can put in here.
I'm
Like,
just warming up. Just getting started point.
okay. Uh, but no, it's awesome. It was like having your own personal art director,
Yeah,
basically.
that's amazing. like at the day, like when I saw the article that you wrote for 80 level, and you said, so basically, Overgrown was your first major environment, wasn't it?
The first environment at all, really. Yeah.
Like that's just epic. Like when you said about the class that you did, not the class, sorry, but the school being at such a high standard, and basically kind of getting introduced to the reality of the skill set, or the bar that has to be set in order to achieve.
Oh, it's scary, man.
Like
It's
yeah,
scary.
it's daunting, but at the end of the day, it's so rewarding, and having that as an opportunity, like for example, seeing the fact that what you said, that the artwork that these students are making these days, and seeing what you made for your first piece is just amazing to see, and that's what we want to see throughout. Like that's the consistency, or that's I know that's not the bar. Like so, if people are tuning in, like don't panic. Like when you see um Trym's work, like don't get panicky and stuff and go like, oh, do I have to be exactly at his work right now? Because yes, like that's a great standard to look up to, like look up to his artwork and appreciate the standard and the quality, etc. But realize that that you don't have to have that just yet, but it's still a great thing and great mentality to have. And we're going to be diving into his art piece just now, actually, because firstly, sir, just tell me, like, what got you inspired to make this piece? Like, where did this all begin? Like, what was like where did this all, like, where did it start, basically?
Where did it start?
Back when I was a boy.
Yeah, back when I was a wee boy, I used to have a little cabin in the woods. I don't know why I'm a
That's brilliant.
leprechaun, but
Why not?
um, I don't know. It's so the process that kind of got me through getting to the concept, which is by Wadim Kashin. He
Mhm.
had like it's literally called Overgrown. I guess I'm not very creative on names, so uh,
It
but
works,
he
man. It
had
works.
like a nice house in an overgrown forest, and there's some military guys there and some deer jumping by, and I was like, damn, that looks kind of nice and atmospheric.
Mhm.
It gives me like, I can make plants, I can make a house, I can make a lot of modular things. It's not super big, so it's a contained scene. Definitely things that like I can work with this, right? I can either go the way of making an interior, or I can go the way of making something around the back. I
Mhm.
don't want to do both. I didn't want to make an interior because I knew that uh, I had to like choose, or
Mhm.
at least I didn't know that, but I decided that that's what it was going to be. So I had this concept, and probably I think I had four other concepts, so five concepts in total.
Mhm.
Sent them to Kevin, and he basically replied with like a book uh, that like just like 10 pages of notes
Mhm.
breaking down each concept, saying what's good, what's bad. This one's too big, this one has too many things, this one is too small, this one's got too few things, this one's kind of weird,
Mhm.
I don't like this, like, and we ended up on this one basically. So um because it just seems like a good start. It's like not too big, not too small. It's definitely like I had moments where I was like, "Damn, I'm making this too big. I'm
Yeah, of
going too
course.
big." And still think I wish that I'd made it smaller,
Okay.
because the scope sort of. I looked at it and I was like, I want to do something more. I want to do something more than just a house. That's where the alien comes in.
Mhm.
Because I like sci-fi stuff.
Oh, you
Sci-fi's
can't
cool.
go wrong with sci-fi, man.
And I knew that if I just made this as how it looks on the concept,
Mhm.
then it would probably be, like you said, very Uncharted, very Harry Potter, very like sci-fi corridor sort of thing. Like you see
Mhm.
them all the time. You
Of
see
course.
abandoned stuff. You see sci-fi corridors. You see like all these things all the time. Which isn't to say it's bad. A lot of
Mhm.
these can be really good, but it is overdone.
Yep.
Uh, so I was like, okay, well, what can I do to make it a bit different? And yeah, how about I just destroy half of the house with like an alien ship and make stuff
Cause
go
why
crazy in
not?
the
It
back?
just
Yeah, because why not? Because I can. Because I'm a 3D artist. I can do whatever I want.
yeah. Like that's the great thing. Like you can literally go crazy, and I think that's the thing that we naturally have to start being more open to, because when we were kids and we were playing around with paint, we did not care what the final product was. We just went crazy. We were just like, right, we've got purple, we got blue, we got red. What do we do now? We joining it all together. We just throw it around like crazy, see what happens.
Make
And
brown, basically.
yeah, 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 we're making brown, folks. Because why not? But it's like you just have to like sometimes realize that like this is why. Oh, actually, this actually dives into the question I was going to say we're going to talk about at the end: the technical
Oh
versus the
yeah.
artistic. So,
No, we can save that.
okay, actually, yeah, we'll just nudge that to the end.
We'll save that. We'll save that. Come
Yeah,
on.
well, that'll be a nice juicy conversation. So,
Mhm.
but when it comes to like just going out the box, like really just give it some time and just actually stop kind of limiting yourself. Like you have to kind of just be like a designer at first. Like be a creative. Don't just be a person who makes something from a concept. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. I think that's sort of like it's great, obviously, to make stuff from a concept. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a very good skill to have. In
Of
fact,
course.
that's everyone should be able to make stuff from concept. But if you're making something like this, which is more of a personal project, then finding a concept and making it your own is probably a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're at least not just straight up copying or like re-envisioning something, but you're like actually making it something that you can feel kind of proud about. Like, yeah, this is mine. I did this.
So when it comes to this piece, so speaking of sci-fi,
Yeah.
was there like what kind of themes were you inspired by in terms of? I understand you got these references, so you've got these 5 images, you broke it down with Kevin. Was there any kind of main kind of catalyst that drove this kind of piece?
Not really. I mean, for me, it's like I don't know if I'm like necessarily inspired by anything specific, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you look at like Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff they had like I think I even mentioned that in either the article or somewhere else. I mentioned how they have I think it's called Hearts of Iron or something. I didn't play
Right.
the game.
That's okay. It's not,
um,
that's the thing. You don't need to as long as it's inspiration. It's fine.
yeah, they have these really cool like red tendrils and like infection stuff happening, and it's really impressive,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gives like a nice pop of color. So I was like, okay, cool. I want to pop a color. That's cool. I like popping colors.
Yeah.
Uh, Zergs from StarCraft, like that stuff is really cool. Just the whole growth that they have
Mm-hmm.
is just like it's cool stuff, man. I don't know. I don't have like a deep answer for you. For
No,
me, it's
that's the
like
thing. It
this is
doesn't have to
cool.
be. Like at the
Like
day, it just has to. Like you said, like that's the one thing which is great because sometimes it doesn't have to have to have like this whole story. Like sometimes, yes, you add the story within your as you're going along, but sometimes the best ideas are just random. Like you just said at the start, right? I got a building. You break the building. You add an alien because why not? Simple as
yeah, I
that.
mean, for me, that is the story itself. Like the story
Exactly.
is some sort of alien ship, who knows what,
Mhm.
or who knows why, has landed right outside the house and is siphoning some sort of power. Like it's clearly doing something with the house. Why? I don't know, but
Yeah.
like it's going in there and it's making the grass brown and it's killing the trees and
Mhm.
whatever, right? It's just doing some stuff, and the house itself, who knows? Maybe it was abandoned before that happened. That's why no one has like I had the idea, like I was thinking about it, like why
Mhm.
is there an alien in the backyard,
In the
and why
backyard.
has no one seen it? Like clearly, someone should have come by and been like, "All right, well, there's a alien in my backyard. Please come and take it away." And you'd probably see a lot of red tape or whatever, right?
Of course.
That was the plan. At some point, I was like, maybe I should put up some like CDC type of like tape and some like equipment, and they're clearly like aware of this, and maybe it just spun out of control.
Mhm.
But then like maybe it wouldn't be so which would be a cool thing as well, honestly.
Yeah.
uh but then maybe it's undiscovered, and the fact that it is undiscovered in an already abandoned house and it's allowed to grow so much and
Yeah.
just take, that's kind of scary too. Like
Definitely.
now it's like not, you don't even know about it. Like what if someone comes and they're like a realtor or something? They're like, yeah, I'm gonna sell this house. It looks great, and
What
they
was it
come
becomes
around
alive again?
like, oh shit. It's, so I don't know. It's just for me, it was just I wanted to make something organic and sci-fi with like an old-timey house,
Yeah.
and that's that's it. Like it's just that's cool. Let's go with it.
Let's go with it.
There's no extra story
Yeah,
behind it.
no, that's cool. Because the one thing when I was watching the video and you just see it pulsing, I just remember the first ever time I watched Dead Man's Chest with Pirates of the Caribbean,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the Kraken is just rising up, and you just see like the slime. And it
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
reminded you, and then when Jack Sparrow was just like his face is like rubbing against the, I don't know what the parts are called, but it was just like I was like I was all for it. There was so much things going on. It was just like those nice little touches, like when you saw the pulsing as well of the material, just you can see it's still slightly alive, or it's just its body reacting almost like an eel, like it just
Yeah.
pulses, and I was like, oh, this is just a nice little touch.
Yeah, because I mean, it would be boring if it was just standing still, I think. So I think adding just a little bit of movement makes it seem like it's not just, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it's alive. It's still active. It's still there.
Yeah. When it comes to, I know you were saying this piece isn't necessarily like you've got your story, you've just been very direct, right? This is what I want to get out of it, and at the day, that's normally the most powerful meme because, like you said, if you added those like warning signs and tapes, etc., you wouldn't have got like when I said to you about watching the video. At the moment, it just like at the start, you're just like, oh, it's a house, and then it slowly
Yeah.
the music changes, and then it hits you, and that's the message that you're wanting to get across.
Yeah, I want a
And
little bit of a shock factor, I guess.
of course, and it's getting that across in fly-throughs. Like that's why I think fly-throughs are so important rather than just having just an image.
Yeah.
Like I generally think they have so much value.
Well, I think a little bit of both, right? That's why on my art station, I have the main image first,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have the fly through, and then I have the rest of the images. Because a lot of people, they don't have time to watch a video.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people, from what I heard, I don't know who these hiring people are, but they're clearly a lot of them open a video and they mute it because I mean, or they don't even have headsets on their
Yeah.
thing, and so I couldn't think about it as if they're going to be listening to what's happening. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have beautiful music, and it becomes creepy as you turn around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
but I still needed to make sure the editing was good even without sound.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a very interesting point. I've never heard that one before, but no, that makes sense.
so because yeah, I mean a lot of people will probably skip through. It's 1 minute 24 seconds. It's I mean I don't know. It's not that long, but at the same time I can't expect everyone to look at it, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So if they skip through, then they're still gonna get a pretty decent thing. But yeah, so I have my screenshots after the video because I sometimes zoom over the video. Like if I look at if I go into ArtStation
Mm-hmm.
post and they have their video first and they have screenshots after, I'll probably just go over the video first. Like I won't even look at the video. I'll just look at the screenshots. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's cool. And then if it intrigues me, I'll go back up and be like, oh, what? And I'll look at the video, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I sort of structured it the way I did, I guess.
Like I feel like at the day that it's that's really interesting how you said that because when it comes to being creatives, obviously making it into a video format really adds you to push the story, etc. You name it. Like one thing I always like to kind of picture things in terms of like I always like to the value of sound and
Yeah.
like, understanding noise and like all the little quirks you can add to a piece, like selling the scale, the grandness overall. And one thing I think is always really nice, it's this as weird as it sounds sometimes, but the smell of an environment and understanding how would that, like for example, when you're
The
walking
what?
in,
The smell?
the smell, yeah, believe it or not. So,
Okay.
for example, not like you
You
understand what
elaborate. Yeah, please.
so when it comes to you seeing a piece, right?
Yeah.
And say, for example, we'll base it off your piece. So we've got Overgrown. Like, say, for example, I'm in my head, right? I'm trying to think, right? What kind of stories going on here? How would if I was in this place in real life, walking into this building, and what's going on? Like, how rotten would it be?
Right.
Really trying to understand what would actually be affected. So if I'm understanding the smell and stuff, then I know how the materials are going to be affected. Like there's going to be moss, there's going to be certain maybe spillages from a gas leak or something, or like the I don't know the effect gas leak have on the materials or whatever. Every like all these different really. How can it going so much in depth with the story? Like when it comes to props, instead of just making props like a normal prop, really understanding like how it would be modelled in terms of if it was mass manufactured through a factory, then it's going to be a lot more cleaner than it is from a person who's doing it through traditional methods. However, the traditional method is going to have more value in terms of it's going to have more story to it. There's going to be more layers to it. You name it, and that's why I think when I came across this, so I learned this from. Have you heard of Feng?
I
So,
don't know.
so Feng Shui is a well-known concept artist. He has his own YouTube channel called
FCD.
FCD. Yes,
Yeah, I
FCD,
know him. Yeah.
and he was talking about how smell plays a big part in terms of creature design, but that then carries across into your environments and your story. As crazy as it sounds, but when you actually start thinking about it, like for example, if you're going to go into I don't know, a homeless person's home, not a homeless person, but like say like some sort of house that was I don't know, like so old and that, and you're wondering how did it smell, and then I translate that over to your props, it really makes you think of, you know what I mean?
Mm. I actually never thought about how my stuff smells. I have to admit, that sounds kind of weird, but I also understand you. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, like I know it sounds crazy, but
I
when
guess
I
for me,
first
it's
came
more about
across,
like touch.
yeah,
When you talk about like moss,
mm-hmm.
I don't really think about how moss smells, but I do think about how it like how it would feel under my fingertips.
Yeah.
So maybe I should think about how it smells too.
Well, like maybe
It's kind of cool.
maybe moss is like a bad idea, but like for example, like say like food and stuff, or
Yeah,
just
yeah,
anything like that's more overgrown or something. However, it reacts to time and
that's
all these
cool.
things. It's just a different twist, because I only came across that in the last like I've been watching him for a few years now, but it just really made me start thinking about my artwork in so much more depth. I understand that you don't have to think this way sometimes,
I don't
but
know. Hey, whatever tools work for you, man.
yeah, of course. Like
That's
there's
cool, man. No, that's definitely cool. I think he's awesome though. I remember one of his earlier videos about like what is it like to like use your strokes,
hmm
like that he uses his brush strokes sometimes is
yeah,
like very sparingly, but just enough that you get an idea of what it has, like
yeah.
what it's going to be.
Like getting across the image, but kind of rough in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really
Like I think so many artists, like that's why I think what you did with the story is like you just have to kind of open up to being loose rather than like we naturally overthink a lot of things, or we think about trying like the final product so much rather than being creative with it.